It's been some fun days behind us.
We have crossed what is considered one of the most difficult stretches of water in the entire Great Loop. And we survived with only a few
Wine
casualties.
glasses. Yeah. We're down some wine glasses now.
I'm staying on the path that I've chosen, straight up. Come my way and I'll see you at the top. 'Cause something's gonna happen in this story, and I can feel it coming, like the rising of the sun.
Okay, so last we left you, we were just leaving New Bern, North Carolina, a side trip off of the ICW up the Neuse River. And
Yeah, we had spent there a week there and then actually extended an extra day because there were small craft advisory conditions on the Neuse, and we didn't want to head out into rough seas intentionally because we try to be pleasure boaters. But sometimes you do have to push your schedule and maybe not always be in ideal pleasure conditions.
But so the next morning, the upper Neuse was looking pretty calm, and indeed it was. But the lower Neuse, as it opens up into the Palmico, was still getting like moderate chop conditions. We decided we didn't want to do that, so we decided we'd just head down to Oriental, which is a really popular bailout spot for that area for that exact reason.
Well, and it is also considered the sailing capital of North Carolina, and there are more boats, like 3-to-1 boat to people ratio in this town, and a ridiculous number of sailboats and marinas. And this is a place where a lot of sailboats provision and cruise from and stuff like that. It's a great sailing town, and it's also a big shrimp fleet comes into this little town as well. So it was a neat boating centric town to come ashore. Not a lot of tourists other than boaters, but yeah. So we went to Oriental, anchored out in kind of they have a few free town docks. We could have stayed for 48 hours, but we anchored out on the far side of the bridge, got some shelter, because coming down the Neuse, even as we started to get it open up, we started to experience some of this more rough seas, particularly as we were turning into Oriental. And it was like, that's getting a little sporty out there. Is this good to have a nice harbor to shelter in? And then we stayed at Oriental for 2 days. It was
it was
a
very
neat little town.
pleasant. So we used the free dinghy docks to get ashore, toured around. There's some cute little shops and restaurants right there at the waterfront.
There's a West Marine Express, which is like a micro-sized West Marine, but it's kind of TARDIS size because it's like bigger on the inside than the outside, but it had a lot of good stuff.
And there is actually, so we walked all the way out there, and there's actually a provision company right in town
Another
there
boating provision
that
company.
apparently has a lot of the same stuff. We could have just gone there. We just thought it was like one of these more touristy provision company things, but oh well. Oh well. Live and learn. But yeah, there's great little The Bean, a coffee smoothie shop. And we probably should have gone ahead and left after the first night because conditions on the Palmico Sound were
changing up.
they were at that time more calm and glassy, but the next morning was still looking like at most going to be light chop, and that was still going to be okay for us. So we thought, okay, we'll wait it out. So we left out early morning, and it was very, very calm right there out of Oriental.
Yeah, Saturday, September 7th is what we did. And so then you cruise down out the Neuse River into where it really opens up into the Palmico, and then you have to go around this point called Maw Point in very open water, and then start going up the Bay River
into protection. But yeah, so the light chop that someone saw in the marine forecasts turned into moderate chop, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But thankfully we were taking it to the bow, so we're just bashing through it.
It was kind of fun, actually.
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
I did that. I did it at the helm, and it was fun. Once you get used to the motion of the boat, and that you're fine.
And also that we discovered the feature of our hot tub is that it will self-empty if you get enough forward and back motion. So our hot tub took a lot of that upper weight off, which we've been planning to drain anyway for our more significant crossings ahead. It did it itself. We had to have the hot tub empty itself while we were cruising.
Yeah, half the water gone. And then I think we lost one wine glass that fell out of our wine glass holder because we hadn't really prepped that much at all. Because it was supposed to be light.
Yeah, it's supposed to be light chop. It was definitely more.
So lesson learned for the Neuse is be prepared for more than the forecasts say, because it probably will be, I guess.
It is a sporty river.
Yes, sporty river. It's a good term. But yeah, once you're in the Bay River, got nicely protected. And then
there's a canal that cuts across up to the Palmico River,
Yep.
And we decided to make a long cruising day of it and go all the way up into the Palmico River and all the way up to Washington, or Little Washington.
Yep, known as Little Washington around these parts, as not to be confused with Washington, D.C.
But this was, they also call it the original Washington because it was the first town in the nation to be named after George Washington. So
yeah, we'd heard great things about it. I had some friends that kept their boat in Wilmington, Karen and Tad, who live in Washington. So we had gotten to know them and had heard lots of great stories about it. So we said, let's make the trip up there. And they have a free dock for 2 nights.
Yeah, it's like a 25 nautical mile detour up the Palmico River. So it is a big swing off the ICW, but the Palmico was actually pretty darn calm. And this town is worth the detour. It was a really beautiful town and so friendly and welcoming of boaters.
Yeah, we called the dockmaster as we're coming in. He met us at the wharf there,
And they have
took
a
our
huge
lines.
town public dock.
And you get 2 nights free, no water, no electric included with that. There are options to upgrade to water electric if you like for a fee. We decided we don't need that. Then if
The
you
weather was perfect.
and then if you want to extend from there, it's just 75 cents a foot per night to extend on the free dock beyond the 2 days. So we ended up staying 3 nights, extending 1 night because we liked the town that much. We got to get together with Tat and Karen. And there's an estuarium there that was only open on Tuesday, and we had arrived. We had arrived late Saturday, and so if we wanted to do it, we had to do it Tuesday. So we did that Tuesday morning before we left.
Yeah. So we decided to stick around for the estuarium. It was actually really kind of cool, and it had some beautiful. If you go, make sure you get them to explain the art that's in the lobby. That's actually the highlight of the museum. Is this incredible kinetic art sculpture. So
that was
check
really
out the
cool.
estuarium.
But yeah, cute town, lots of dining options. We ate out a little bit too much there. And nice waterfront, beautifully developed waterfront walking trail.
Yeah, and they're so welcoming of boaters coming in. They actually have free bicycle loaner bikes, even for people using the free docks and stuff. We didn't need them. We had our bikes, but you can get to provisioning. You can explore this town. There's a lot of stuff within walking distance. So Little Washington, very worth the side trip.
Worthwhile. So we were now looking to the Albemarle Sound, because that would be our next major crossing, which we knew could be more than sporty.
It is. Albemarle is often, in all the cruising guides said, can typically be the worst conditions on anywhere in the Great Loop, including the Gulf crossing, the Great Lakes, or the parts where you have to dip out into the Atlantic. So this is a place that people tell horror stories.
Yes, and have nightmares of, which I've been having nightmares of. I was actually
We've had so many friends tell us, "Oh my God, it was horrible."
It was like, we were really liking Wilmington. Maybe we just stop there and not have to do this crossing.
Don't do the Albemarle. But the weather forecast, the long range forecast was looking good for the week ahead, leaving Little Washington. So we thought we had some time to do a few of the other little side trips on the Palmico River. So we first went to Goose Creek State Park, which is not very far from Little Washington. Beautiful state park, great place to reset.
Great place to anchor there, a little dinghy dock to get ashore into the campground area. And
get some hiking in.
Access to several miles of hiking trail, so that was fantastic. And it is a really cute state park with their campsites are so spread out. We were kind of getting envious and wishing we had our van with us too. There's a big,
great camping there.
The sort of spaces we love in the van.
Yeah, and then we were thinking we would potentially do the town of Bath, another much smaller little historic town on the Palmico, which used to be where Blackbeard lived for a while. And so it got a great free harbor, free dock as well. So
and then we also wanted to stop at Belhaven on the way. But when we woke up to leave at a Goose Creek, actually Starlink had just they sprung a huge change in their pricing. So we're getting started to work, and he goes and checks the forecast on the Albemarle, and
so looking ahead, the forecast was still good, but the trend was looking like if they keep changing this every day in the negative way it's going, by the time we get there, it's not going to be good, and has the potential to actually be so not good that we wouldn't be able to, because the bad weather that was coming in was going to keep it basically uncrossable for potentially up to a week. So we're like, we want to get trapped down here, or do we want to push?
Is Bath and Belhaven enough to distract us for a week? Or so we made the decision to then skip Bath and Belhaven, make a very long cruising day to get past all of that. We actually covered the Starlink story, got the video out and the story published while underway, taking turns at the helm.
We were multitasking thoroughly. And actually, I discovered just how pleasant it is to work in our little office here with the water cruising by, just the windows and the big monitor. And it's
so technically it's the boat cruising by, the water is not cruising.
Technically, you are very correct. correct, but it's just the appearance is it's just really, this makes a great underway office with the big windows and stuff. We've never actually done too much desk work while underway. We usually enjoy the cruising, but this is like, let's multitask. Let's make time. We did shifts of working versus driving.
Because it was going to be, I think it was 8 or 9 hours of cruising that we had to get that day.
And we needed a fuel stop as well. So we had been planning to go to Belhaven, where the town docks have fuel right at the docks and the downtown Belhaven Marina and everything. And we've heard great things about it. But that's also a several mile detour off the ICW, which would mean go there, get fuel, go back. So I found another place that had fuel at the same price that's right on the ICW, Dowry Creek Marina.
Wonderful dockmaster there who got us fueled up, pumped out. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I had well water. We didn't feel good about taking that on, so we didn't get a freshwater fill, unfortunately. And then we continued on to the Pungo Alligator Canal, which is this hand-dug canal along the ICW between the two major rivers. And it's
20 miles, almost perfectly straight, not completely, but long, straight ditch with nature on either side, because you're going through basically a wilderness reserve. And we saw a bear swimming across in front of our boat.
We saw a little black thing bobbing up ahead.
And I'm like, is that a log? And I get the binoculars out.
Is it a crab pot? Is it a log? And I was like, oh, it's a bird, because you see birds floating on the water all the time. It's like, oh no.
I get the binoculars, and there's a snout, and it's moving fast and swimming, and we watched that go. It was a black bear.
Unfortunately, it was too far away to get good video and stuff of, but it was so cool. I expect dolphins and manta rays and fish alligators when we're on the water, but a bear swimming.
That is a new first for us. Yeah, that goes to one of our nature encounter highlights there. So pretty friggin' awesome.
Yep. So beautiful cruise, and then we set the hook at kind of the base of the Alligator River. It was already getting to sunset-ish time at that time.
That was a long day, and we were saying, okay, we want to get up early in the morning and get across. The earlier we get out up to the Albermarle and start crossing, the better our odds are of having good conditions. And we did have a little extra challenge. One reason to stop is shortly before Washington. I forget exactly what stop.
Wrightsville Beach is when we're setting the anchor. the lens to our navigation light fell out and went overboard.
Yeah, so the plastic and then the plastic inside was old and rotted. And it turns out the original model, the lens that is used on this old Bayliner, is not really manufactured anymore. So I basically had to come up with a way to rig us a new navigation light. I had ordered parts that met us in New Bern, and had to figure out how to hybridize pieces to make these new parts and old parts work together. And so it's like, I got to get this fixed, because I think we want to leave before dawn in the morning. So spent some time wiring up a navigation light so we'd actually be legal, and we got up at crazy o'clock. And
I think we had the hookup around 5. No moonlight out, twilight not yet, because sunrise isn't until 6:45. So I'm out on the front deck with a high beam flashlight looking for crab pots and channel marker signs. He's using the navigation tools.
All the navigation tools, and we are just puttering along nice and slow until we got more and more natural light and making progress up the Alligator River, which as soon as we got around the bend onto the Alligator, it got kind of choppy. I'm seeing like Cherie's flashlight going like this up in the front.
And I'm like, are we sure about this? Because it's already this rough here in the protected waters.
And I've been checking the forecast, and it's like, the trend is indeed, it's like if we don't get across today,
we're not getting across.
It is now at least until Wednesday, maybe Thursday, that we would not get across. And this was what?
Thursday.
So yeah, it would be an entire week. Oh boy. Yeah, so we're like, let's do it.
And at this point, there's really nowhere. There's an anchorage with no shore access. There is a little marina at the top of the Alligator River, where
the Alligator River Bridge crosses, and there's a marina there, which is a bailout place if the conditions are bad on Albemarle. You can get a space at this secure marina. They're apparently very friendly, but it's a gas station in the middle of nowhere, and that would not be the most fun place to hang out for a week.
So it's like, okay, so conditions were still supposed to be under 2-foot seas. This is what his marine forecasts are saying again. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay,
but the wind forecast though keeps going up. I'm like, the sea forecast is not changing, but the wind forecast is now up to 15 to 20, and that's getting a lot for coming into the Albemarle.
And it's northeast winds coming in. So we got through the Alligator Bridge, and things started to get a little sportier, but still very tolerable. I'm like, okay, well, this is what it's going to be like. We can do this. We get out into the Sound, and at first it's...
And this is the Sound is a big crossing. When you start, you can't see the other side. It is a 14-15 miles across of big open water that's shallow, and is notorious for getting really choppy because of the way the currents and the winds and how shallow this water
And
is.
crab pots. Apparently there are in season so many crab pots. So you've got these sporty conditions and you got these crab pots that are very invisible when you got moving waves that you don't want to hit, or else you're gonna like
Tear up your prop.
foul up your prop.
So it's very challenging. And as we got out there, the waves really picked up, and I got kind of the death grip holding on the boat and the steering wheel, and because it was too sporty to let autopilot deal with it, you have to work the waves, and that was like 2 hours of adrenaline.
It was, and so you need one person very active looking for crab pots, and there were thankfully
Just enough.
just a few. It was not what people had said in season, which is more like May.
Yes.
So thankfully not that many, but enough that you better be paying attention. And then as we got up to about the halfway point of the Sound, I mean, we were definitely in bigger waves.
And the catch was, so we had waves breaking over the bow. We had like spray coming all the way up on the flybridge a few times, spray all over the boat. And you're trying to figure out how to meet the seas, because this is washing machine conditions. There's no real pattern to the waves, but there is kind of a direction from the wind that makes beam seas from one direction of the wind. You don't want to have the wind hitting you from the side. So we want to go to Elizabeth City, but we want to stay steering into the wind, and we're trying to strike the balance.
So we're kind of like
this, like that,
followed
like
the
this,
track
like
of the
that.
ICW, and then we aimed it so that we got to kind of the mouth of, I don't know, how do you pronounce the name of the river going to Elizabeth? It's like Ponke Tank, I don't know. Locals, sorry if we screwed up the name.
The river to Elizabeth City.
Yes, we'll call it that.
Yes.
We got kind of to the mouth, but to the east side of it. And once we crossed about the halfway mark of the Sound, we started to have less fetch because, the winds were coming in.
And a little bit more protected.
So a little more protected. It was still not fun, but we no longer had the really steep waves that were putting the bow under the water.
But overall, we should have done a little bit more prep inside. We thought we had. We took down the first row of wine glasses because we figured we'd lost one already from the first row. We figured, the other rows of wine glasses are fine.
Safe.
And we've never had our fruits and vegetables go flying, but apparently one of these rolls like this, back and forth, we lost a couple wine glasses, a whole bag of plums, tomatoes, they all got scrambled, toothbrushes went flying in the bathroom, but that was actually basically it. We did,
Well, it's not bad. That was the only one, because you were kind of like, we had
one set of beam waves that really swung us sideways.
But otherwise, we did pretty good. I mean, it was just bashing and just like, you get used to how the boat moves and you just start to get with it. So.
And actually, I think the experience we had on the Neuse just a couple of days before, it really helped brace us. Is like we had practice with the boat in.
Yeah, but you kept saying it'll be no worse than the Neuse. This was
worse.
So whoever this marine forecaster is that you're following for these forecasts.
Oh, this is the National Oceanic.
I think this group needs to have an afternoon on the middle of these sounds and just really experience what they're saying are light conditions.
But I was watching the wind, and by the time we were across, they were starting to update that small craft advisory conditions would be likely, and indeed, by the next 12 hours later, all of this was small craft advisory conditions, and we would have been really trapped or very unpleasant getting across if we'd waited any longer. So
we got across,
we made it.
Got across, adrenaline high, and then we were looking forward. So you're going up whatever the name of this river is
to Elizabeth City. The gateway to the Dismal Swamp.
So we had heard great things about Elizabeth City. There's a lot of free dock options in town.
The town motto is the Harbor of Hospitality, and I guess decades ago, some locals started giving roses to all the cruisers that came through to welcome them to the town. And apparently, this is really a big thing during the migration season. We're kind of in the shoulder season, so there's not a lot of boaters passing through. We didn't get roses.
No roses.
But the town is known for their free docks, and so we're like, we're exhausted by this point.
And we're now several days ahead of our projected schedules.
So and we're like, okay, and it's just barely noon. It's not even noon yet because we'd gotten up so friggin' early, and we're like, okay, let's just get docked, find some lunch, and take a nap. All I just want to do is tie up and take a nap. And we go to what's supposed to be the town free docks, and we've been reading about them, and they're like, you back in because they have very, very short finger piers, but they are plenty wide, and they've got widths marked on them, and these are the town docks.
They're all pilings. There's no cleats, so you just set your pilings at your midships. And okay, whatever, we can do that.
We figure this out, but we get there, and we're like, where's the finger piers?
They're fingernail piers.
Fingernail piers. We're like, oh, even if we back into this, we'd have to like crawl over the dinghy and barely be able to get to shore.
Or drop the dinghy and tie it off and back in.
And
then the pilings stop at about 35 feet out, and we're 47. And like, there's nothing gonna be holding the bow, and it was kind of choppy out there.
And it was choppy and windy still, even all the way up the river. And we're like, okay, what's plan B?
We tried one attempt at it, and we're like,
we probably could get docked if we were fresh, maybe.
And not so, if we weren't so exhausted. And it's like, okay, what are the other free options in town? And so
or just other options in general.
Yeah, or they don't care whatever the options are. Looked at anchorages, but they were still kind of sporty out there. So we went through the drawbridge, and then
right on the other side of the drawbridge is Jeanette Brothers Food Distribution Service. And again, part of the town's theme of welcomeness is this food distribution service has a big dock that they don't use because they ship by truck, not by waterways anymore. And their big face stock is dock for free and pay for it by dining out at our local restaurants. To dine out at least one meal a day.
We can do that.
We could do that. We swung around and got docked. Although there was a surprise that I did not even take into account as we were docking until I started hearing the crunching coming from above and not below is overhanging trees. I've never actually had a dock before with trees.
So we had to trim trees.
We had to trim trees and get our antennas out of the way because our antennas were caught in the trees. I'm like, oh. So I had to get the clippers up and climb up.
Yeah, it was pretty pleasant there. The Highway 17 bridge goes right in front of it, so you got the highway noise coming across, which was kind of annoying.
Particularly on the drawbridge, it makes that
But the distribution center was pretty quiet at this time
very
of day.
Friendly. You have to sign a waiver, and then they give you a list of restaurants and say, enjoy our town.
Yeah, so we went out to lunch, we went out to dinner.
With a nap in between.
With a nap in between. We're still, the adrenaline's really high. We're really tired. And we go to bed at night. We get back after dinner, and there's 2 semi-trucks in their parking lot being loaded up.
Yeah.
But their generators are running for the refrigeration unit. So, okay, well, they'll be done because I think they said they end at 9. It's like they should be done, right? No, they were there until about 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning, loading up food, and which is great. I mean, great business in there.
Yeah.
No downside to their hospitality, but that was loud, plus the bridge. And we woke up in the morning not very well rested.
Yeah, I mean, so we're already exhausted. We had 2 long cruising days that we weren't planning. One of them very high alert, and the other one was high alert because we had to work getting that Starling
story had us on adrenaline. Of
so we needed rest, and that was not restful. Now there's another free dock there's a Christian university further down, which we could have relocated to, but at this point we were both.
We went out for a run and had some breakfast at a really amazing smoothie shop in town.
Fresh fruits, stuff like that.
But we were already talking. It's like, okay, let's maybe just go up into the Dismal Swamp. We could catch our breath there. It's supposed to be quiet and chill, and normally people don't spend more than a day or 2 in the swamp, but we could maybe we'll figure it out. We got to go.
It's not high season. Maybe we can do 2 nights at the visitor center dock or something like that and just get our chill nights. And then so we start cruising up here, and I'm at the helm, and I start looking at the sign. It's like, there's all these green dots everywhere. These are anchorages. Yeah. Like, do we have the option just to anchor somewhere?
Yeah, this river's really pretty, and there's actually this one anchorage in particular that is kind of tucked behind Goat Island, and started reading the reviews, and I was like, tranquil island. Oh, but you could dinghy around the bend and actually still get ashore for a little bit of walking and go to a food line for groceries. Okay. But tranquil, and we're anchored now where we can't see a single, one house way in the distance. But tranquil, and we're like, let's just stop and rest.
So we have been here. We're gonna
spend 2 nights.
We've had 24 hours now. We're much calmer now.
Yes.
We're gonna stay here till tomorrow. I think this is kind of helping pad in some of this time because there is a system off the coast of North Carolina that is developing. May impact us up here, may not. We don't want to be trying to arrive at our next marina in the middle of it.
Norfolk, yeah.
So we'd like to remain in the protected canal system up here.
Yeah, so we're just going to take our time and figure out get to Norfolk after the weather's clear, and that should be soon. But right now, we're just waiting for the Dismal Swamp, enjoying this beautiful time on the hook, and just relax a little bit. We went ashore this morning, got a walk in, and
got some groceries, got some fresh produce, so we can cook on board. So we've been eating out a lot lately.
Yeah, we paid for 3 days in Elizabeth City.
And Washington kind of encourages.
Washington has so much
we've been paying for our dockage a lot with eating, which is great.
That's how these towns.
We love supporting local businesses, and we love dining out. But yeah.
Oh yeah, River Vibe Smoothies in Washington. That's also another. We keep finding the good smoothie places.
We're enjoying good fresh fruit smoothies. Those have been awesome. So that is catching you up to here. We are excited to finally be leaving North Carolina, ending our 3 months cruising.
North Carolina has been fabulous.
Yeah, it's been a really good cruise through here. We've really enjoyed North Carolina. So many great memories, so many great people we've met, so many great cities.
So much great boating. You know, there's places I would eagerly visit again, and or places we had to skip that I'd like to go back to someday. So we'll have to decide if we're going to get around to the Sound, cross from the north, or go finish the Great Loop and come back from the south someday. But that'll be years away.
I'm not doing Albemarle ever again. Ever.
But the good thing is, it's off the checklist. That is supposed to be
the worst of it.
The worst conditions of the Great Loop. Knock on wood. I know the Great Lakes can be serious.
Pillow.
That's a pillow. You knock on pillow. I know the Great Lakes can be serious. The Gulf can be serious. The Atlantic can be serious. But the one story that so many boaters we've talked to have is how the Albemarle was their most exciting crossing of their Great Loop. So hey,
so far for us too, true.
Yep.
But it's behind us now.
And if we do it again, maybe we would wait a week for much better weather.
Maybe so. Maybe, now that we know what small waves are out there.
In 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, maybe we would wait for the less than 10.
Everything I read said you don't do under 15. You did not share the information with me.
Well, that was
20.
No, it was 15 when we left, and by the time we were across, it was all the way up to 20.
But that was not in the forecast. So the forecast
ramping.
changed. That is the biggest lesson here is weather forecasters are guessers, and all of these stuff. It all changes very quickly.
And pay attention to how they change day by day, because sometimes they fluctuate up and down, but when you see every day they're fluctuating worse. Expect it will continue fluctuating worse and assume the worst.
Speed things up. I'm glad we made the crossing. I'm glad it's over. Up ahead, we're going to be in the Norfolk area for a while. We're considering a side trip up the James River.
To Richmond,
Yep, to Richmond. And then we will be finding where our winter storage will be for the boat.
We're starting to make inquiries into good places to store the boat.
Why not? We'll be stored for winter, and we will be returning to van and RV life, probably getting out to Arizona this winter, and then resuming our cruising in the springtime and actually doing the Chesapeake, which we're supposed to do this summer, but
we're sloopers, slow loopers.
Sloopers, and we had a little issue with the cat, so we took the time we needed.
We took the time we needed. So anyway, you're all caught up, and here we are, cruising on. So take care.
We create these videos just for fun, and we love having you along for the ride. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, or if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. See you next time.